Welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders, a weekly talk show with local and national thought leaders on issues impacting the Black community. Now introducing our host, Miss Anne Marie Sorrell.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders. I'm your host, Anne Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this afternoon as we have some very important information to share with you as always. So please stay with us. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Broward Health, AARP, the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County, Dermison and Dover Accident Attorneys, and the African American Black Alzheimer's Disease Initiative at the John P. Hussman Institute for Human Genomics, University of Miami, Miller School of Medicine. If you or someone you know is experiencing loss of memory or memory problems, please contact their research team for more information at 877-686-6444. So we're going to get started. We have a few guests for you today. But I'm going to first have us joined by Broward County Commissioner Dale VC Holness, who is also a candidate for Congressional District 20. Hello and welcome, Commissioner Holness.
Good afternoon, Anne Marie. Grateful to be with you. Thanks to Legacy Magazine and MIA Media Group and you for hosting these great sessions to inform, educate, and uplift our community.
Absolutely. Well, Commissioner Holness, we know that you are definitely no stranger to our audience. We've had you on here before, giving us updates as mayor of Broward County at the time, especially at the height of the pandemic. And we know that you really, worked extremely hard on behalf of the residents during the pandemic. So thank you for all of your hard work, not just with COVID, but just over the years. I like to say you are Dale everywhere because you have truly,
yes.
You truly you're truly one of the most visible political figures that I know in South Florida. And so I want to just kind of, if you would, share your political journey with people, because maybe people don't know how your political journey started and how you gotten to the point where you are today, where you've served as not only mayor of Broward County, but now you're seeking a congressional seat in the very coming weeks.
Yes, in the coming days.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And again, my hat's off to MIA Media Group and Legacy Magazine, who, by the way, named me a few years ago elected official of the year for the South Florida area. It's certainly an honor. I got involved politically in South Florida when I was young, really. I actually worked on the first campaign was Andrew DeGraff and Wright in 1976 when I was at Broward College. And at Broward College, I was a freshman senator, an immigrant, by the way, who somehow found his way into the political scene at a very early age. And in fact, it goes to my even younger days when I met Prime Minister Michael Manley in Jamaica as a youth. But here I got involved in a serious way when I ran for the city commission in Lauderhill after interviewing all the candidates in 1998 as the co-chair of the Political Action Committee Candidate Screening Committee for the Realtors Association. And at the time, we had a lot of drug dealers hanging out on the corner of 55th and 90th Street, actually beckoning you to come over and buy drugs from you. I drove a blue Mercedes Benz then, and I'd be passing by and the guys would be waving their hands to come by. And across the street was City Hall. And the next corner was the police station. And when I interviewed a candidate, I asked, how can they allow that to happen? One person who actually ended up being elected said it wasn't unusual for that kind of stuff to happen in urban areas. There was tremendous blight. Our business were struggling. And in 2000, when I ran the first time, our schools were struggling. And there was quite a bit of blight in Central Lauderhill, 55th, 56th Avenue. So I thought that maybe I can do something about it. and I got engaged. And from there on, I attended every city commission meeting. On MLK Day, I would organize a group to go out and help clean up the community. That was my march. I marched to the parks and to the areas where people needed their houses painted and cleaned up. I lost the election in 2000 by 117 votes to Wally Alphas. Nice gentleman, but didn't have any forward-thinking ideas as to how we move the city forward. Ran again in 2004, lost by even more. 2002, lost by even more. But in 2004, I prevailed against Mr. Alphas with two other black candidates in the race, and they thought no way a black person was going to win this election. And in 2002, I attribute part of the loss to the fact that had I won for the first time in the city of Lauderdale history, there would be a majority black elected city commission. And the Sun Sentinel put it on the front page in the local section. And folks came out because they didn't know me. They didn't know what I do. So I took that as a lesson to go out and meet those in the community who didn't know me. And again, we won in 2004 and immediately started the Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce. By August, we had a Chamber of Commerce up and running because I said I would help our businesses. And I got the city to fund that at $100,000 a year. That chamber is still running strong. Then I put together some smart people, much smarter than I when it comes to education. And we put together a Lauderdale Education A+ plan. Funded that with $100,000 per year also. Put in the schools a program called KAPOW, Kids in the Power of Work, where we would have business people, professionals, and people who go in and tell the children about their career and how what they learned in school applied in life and character. And actually, I would bring them to my real estate office, and I'd read a contract with them. They would read a paragraph, and I would read a couple, and so they understand that they have to learn to read. And then I'd sit them with my accountant so that they can understand. And I would tell them, if you don't know how to count, you can't count your money and calculate well, someone's going to rob you some money. But that worked quite well. Got to the county in 2010, continued to work, really focused heavily on where the money was and who's getting it. So we had a disparity study that was released that wasn't conclusive enough for us to put race and gender solutions in place to fix what we knew were problems with blacks and women and other minorities not getting contracts. So I worked with what we got in 2011, brought in a whole bunch of small minority, women-owned, black-owned businesses to meet with the prime contractors and told them if they wanted my vote on any projects, they're going to have to be inclusive and really taught the large businesses and the lobbyists when they come in, hey, this is the first thing you have to answer to me. How many black people making money on the deal? Because we have left a large group of our community behind, which is detrimental to us as a nation. You can't leave a whole section out not being able to be as productive as they can be and expect that we can grow to the best that we can be. And that changed things. We moved from 10.25% in our procurement for our CBE, SBE program to 44% last year. Anne-Marie, that was $136 million. Many subcontractors are now prime contractors. And we want to move and continue that kind of stuff. Started Florida's International Trade and Cultural Expo because we need to sell more of our goods and our services to the rest of the world. Put in place a whole host of other things. Ban the box, one of the first municipalities to do it in South Florida, where we don't ask you if you had a criminal record, but we look at you first to see whether you can do the job. And if you can, and then we look, and we need background check, then we look at that. And then you get a rebuttal to say what happened and how you've changed, how you've become a better person. So you'll be given due consideration. Put in place the civil citation program for adults and really pushed the juvenile civil citation program. Put in place the Police and Criminal Justice Review Board, where we have Black Lives Matter, NAACP, Urban League, and a large, the whole community together to look at how we change the criminal justice system here in Broward County, because law enforcement is mostly local. So we've got to do it at a local level. Though at a national level, we can lead and set standards there. Founding member of the Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to put a little push in here. For many years, I've been chair of the United Negro College Fund Leaders Luncheon for South Florida, raised over $3 million since I started on this, and got $500,000 commitment from Vinny Viola, the Florida Panthers owner. We'll have that again this year. So let me just plug UNCF right here. You can go to uncf.org/South Florida Luncheon. uncf.org/South Florida Luncheon. And for those of you who rather make a phone call, 954-527-3315. 954-527-3315. Mine is a terrible thing to waste, but a beautiful thing to invest in. So let's help us with this. We're hoping to raise this is our 21 year. We're hoping to raise at least $210,000 for this event. So please join us for that event coming up. It's going to be December 3rd, Friday, December 3rd. It's a beautiful event. We expect 300 people plus to be there that you can network with and create some opportunities for growth. Last year, also put in place the Racial Equity Task Force, an ordinance creating that. 37 different entities will be a part of this, including, again, Black Lives Matters, because they ought to be at the table. NAACP, Urban League again. We have the Chambers of Commerce, the major Chamber of Commerce here, the Broward Workshop. And Anne-Marie, you know the Broward Workshop. Those are the people with the real money in Broward County. Bank, or clergy, the school board, Broward College, and a large number of entities, so that we can look at racial inequities that exist within America, which has robbed us of $16 trillion over the past 20 years, according to City Financial Study that was released last September. And it says if we're to fix this, we could grow our economy by $5 trillion. It means every American will benefit from it. I continue on this journey, Anne-Marie, to bring our community together. I served as the Broward Black elected officials chair since 2015, put together a Broward Black Action Plan. We're working to increase the number of Black judges, and we've done so. Since we started this plan, we went from 6 Black judges to now we're at about 12 Black judges in Broward County, because our criminal justice system needs to be fixed. 17% of the population of Florida is Black, yet 47% of people in prison in Florida are Black. There's something very wrong with that. We're robbing ourselves as a nation of our most important asset, or human capital, by locking them up for minor misdemeanor offenses. That doesn't need to be done. So I continue on this road to bring us together, to create prosperity for all the people.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm sure you could go on for hours with your track record and accomplishments, but we don't have hours today, Commissioner. So that's
why I paused. That's why I paused here, okay, so that you can have some other stuff said and other questions you may have.
Absolutely. So, it brings us to your why, and briefly, why are you running for Florida's Congressional District 20, a seat that the late Congressman Al C. Hastings held for roughly 28 years?
Yes. It's to continue to work. And I believe that at the national level, you can provide leadership in many areas. We see the need for criminal justice reform and standardization of how we conduct policing. Certainly, we need to restructure how policing is done and reinvest money elsewhere. The federal government, through its legislative action and purse string, can help to do that. I'll tell you something, Anne-Marie. I talked about the people in jail, but Broward County's single largest budget item this year is $300 million for a jail. And guess what? 47% of the people in jail have mental problems. They're on psychotropic drugs. This is statistics from the sheriff's office. Actually, people in jail, 47% receiving medicine to stay sane. Is that how we deal with people? No, it's not. So criminal justice reform certainly needs to be done, and it can be led at the national level. Or voting rights ought to be secured and not tampered with. That's a big issue for us that we need to do. Funding for education and early childhood learning and daycare so that we can be more productive. There's a real issue today, Anne-Marie. Many women would like to go to work. Many men who are single parent would like to go to work and can't because they can't afford daycare or they can't find good daycare for their children. That's, again, creating a situation where we're not preparing ourselves for the future. We can't continue on this pathway of looking at third grade performance for our children to determine how many prison cells to build. That's nonsense. So we're going to have to lead on that, ensuring that we have free college for middle-class families and moderate and low-income people is critical. If we can't make it universal, we ought to make it affordable for those folks, and at least no cost for that at that level. And also technical training programs for those who are not bound for college that we can have in place so we can be more competitive with the world and be more prosperous as a nation. So there's a lot at stake. And the other thing that I've embarked, and you're familiar with FITCI that I started, Florida's International Trade and Cultural Expo, that in 2019 received a presidential award. We're the largest trade event in the Southeast United States. We got that award because Broward County, under my leadership, has led the way to sell more of our goods and our services to the rest of the world by doing this event that teaches American business how to access markets to sell more of our goods and services to the rest of the world. Anyone who travels knows that China is outperforming us when it comes to trade with the rest of the world. So that's a huge issue. Our foreign policy need to be right-sized, especially with the military. We can't lead with the military as we've done so too often. The Wall Street Journal did an article that says Africa is the future, but America is not ready. And they pointed out that we are leading there more with military than with commerce. And we ought to be leading with commerce. I went to Nigeria and to Ghana on trade missions over the last couple of years, and they want Americans to be there. They want African Americans to be there. They want Black folks to come home. They give you citizenship if you go to Ghana. And they want us to help them build the economy and help us prosper in doing so also. They don't want the Chinese necessarily, but we're not there. So we need to really look at a whole lot of differences when it comes to our international relationships and look to see how we can build a better access for our businesses to do more business with the rest of the world. Lead with commerce, not with the military.
What are some of you touched on quite a few international trade and commerce, our national security, criminal justice reform. There are few other issues that impact the constituency here in Broward and Palm Beach County. And so I want to kind of get your stand on those issues as it relates to immigration. Mm-hmm. We know we have a very large immigrant community throughout South Florida, but particularly our Caribbean community, including our Haitian community. Also, environmental justice and the environment and climate change, mm-hmm. Housing, affordable housing, mm-hmm. and just overall employment and economic development, especially when we talk about the infrastructure bill that is still being weighed in on. So I want to get your take on those issues and how that impacts the constituents here in Broward and Palm Beach County.
So District 20,
to represent.
Mm-hmm. District 20, the Congressional District 20 has some of the most needs of any district that exists. We have a huge disparity when it comes to income compared to other areas. High poverty, high unemployment, and so much that needs to be fixed. But we must work together across all lines, whether it be racial, ethnic, or otherwise, in order to lift our community up. So you touch on a few of them. But let me tell you, immigration reform was the first one you touch on, or the immigration situation. The Congressional Budget Office pointed out when the gang of 12 senators came together to propose comprehensive immigration reform, that if we put immigration reform in place now, we could reduce our deficit tremendously. We could actually have Social Security strengthened and even give additional benefits, which is also a big issue for the people in this district. Many people on Social Security is not receiving enough in order for them to live. I think we need to increase that amount, immigration reform could help with that, because people who are now not paying into the system would be paying into the system. Further, studies have shown that if we do comprehensive immigration reform, we could grow the economy by $1 trillion. $1 trillion. And unfortunately, some people demonize immigrants, but understand that immigrants work very hard. They do jobs that many other Americans won't do because they don't have to. Immigrants try to really come in and improve their financial situation early, and as an asset to us. They create jobs. They are more likely to start businesses than other Americans. In fact, a large percentage, I think about 40% of our largest business in this country were started by immigrants. So it's an asset that is lying there that's not being utilized. The people that are here, and also, let me go further on this, because we've done some tinkering around the edges, putting in place the Dreamers, the DACA program, where if you came here as a child and you're now still here, you are able to work and go to school. You get documented and temporary protective status for our Haitian brothers and Hondurans and other places in the world, people from other places in the world who face probably certain debt if they were to return, whether it be political or otherwise. Those two groups are already documented. There's no reason why we shouldn't create permanency for them and get them on a pathway to become full-fledged American citizens. And they're here working. They're in the military. They're first responders. They're frontline workers. And we saw the value during COVID-19 as today. So affordable housing is really a critical issue for us. And part of what we need to look at, especially in Congressional District 20, is how we increase home ownership. It has one of the lowest home ownership rate of any of the districts. About 55% of folks there own their own homes, compared to an adjoining district that has 72% home ownership rate. We can do things to help with that. Put more funding into building new homes, new homes, of course, but new apartments also from the federal government through HUD. The other thing that I would do that is being done in some places but not wide enough, Anne-Marie, is the Section 8 vouchers are used now for folks who need help with paying their rent, but it goes to a landlord. That can be used to create home ownership. You can buy a home using that. Miami has done a few of it, not enough. Other areas have utilized that program to create home ownership. Then you end the legacy of poverty that is generational. So that's a big part of what I believe could be done easily, quickly, to move that forward. We also need to look at our environment. This is the only world we know. And if we don't take action now to reduce our carbon footprint and to conserve this world, we might not have one for our children or grandchildren. It is serious. And while we're here, we see what the effect climate change is having on us. Environmental justice is very important as a part of what we must look at in order to create equity and balance. So there's a tremendous amount of things that are out there that needs to be taken care of to ensure that we're strengthening and building every fabric of our community and creating prosperity for all.
Absolutely. Now, as we wind down, Commissioner, with your segment, Congressman Hastings remained in the seat for approximately 28 years until his death, with no clear succession plan that anyone in the public is aware of. What are your thoughts as it relates to term limits in Congress, and even succession planning for future political candidates and figures?
So, Anne-Marie, he didn't go out and publicize that he had some plan for someone to succeed him. But I can tell you that I've worked with him closely over a long period of time. You've been around him too. And we built a strong relationship over a long time. And we've had conversation about what happens in the future for him. And many thought, and I believe he actually helped counsel and guide me and mentored me. And before he passed, actually endorsed me and called Dorsey Miller, called Bernadette Nursery, called Dr. Larry Pierre, told his wife, his family, many others, that he wanted me to go to be the one to succeed him in the seat. And I'm grateful and humbled for that. We worked together well on many issues, including my leadership of the broad black elected officials. He was a strong supporter and sometimes had to stand up against some of the others who might not have wanted to stand in and do what's necessary to move our community forward. In terms of term limits is something that is nuanced. I believe that there ought to be some sort of limitation, not forever, certainly, but where you find a balance. At the county, we're 12 years. 12 years, to be honest with you, in another couple of years, I'd be at that limit, actually 14. And I can tell you this, Anne-Marie, that it takes a while sometimes for you to really get the stuff you want done in place. And if there were to be term limits, I would want it to be for at least 12 years minimum. Because if you don't do that, what you'll end up happening, and I've seen it happen in cities and in legislatures, where the lobbyists and the special interest people know so much, they know all the history of what happened, how it happened, when it happened, and they then rule more so than the elected officials because they have more institutional knowledge than the elected officials. So I'd be supportive of that, but it had to be at a long term. I don't intend to, if I'm able to win the seat, be there for that long as my friend and mentor did. But he served well. He served well for many years. He was a strong advocate for people, a loud voice, had great skill set on the Rules Committee for the Democrats. In international affairs, he was a very strong person serving on the Helsinki Commission, which is really a high honor for someone to serve at that level for such a long time. We certainly, and I, Anne-Marie, you know, I've helped a tremendous amount of candidates win election, groom them. Sometimes there are conflicts between two people that I have relationship with in order for me, but I've always sit down with them and counsel and advise them where I can't take sides. And you saw last year what happened in Broward County with 5 blacks being elected countywide. Every one of those campaigns I had a hand in. Bringing whatever resources and whatever skill set that I could bring to help with that. And there are a lot of others across the county that I've supported, that are now supporting me. And I didn't support them because I wanted them to support me. I supported them because I wanted to see good things happen. In Tamarack, Mike Gallen has brought Banda Box there as soon as he got in, because we sat down and looked at some stuff. He put in place a diversity study. He's done a lot of the things that we worked on, we talked through, and help others. Similarly in Miramar with Alexandra Davis and across this county, providing assistance and leadership to those who would seek to represent us in the political affairs, but also in business. There are a lot of folks in business who I sit down with and help guide and sometimes pull people together to compete for bids. So that they'll be stronger together rather than being separated. There's a lot of work still to be done to move our country forward to where we can see prosperity reaching everyone and not just some people.
No, that's great, Commissioner. It'd be great to have representation on the federal level to ensure that those same opportunities are being led on a federal level. Now, my last question for you is, well, kind of last question. Well, I'll put it all in one question. If you're not elected, will you support the winner?
Absolutely.
And what will you do next?
Go make some money so that I can help other people. That's what I would do. I mean, you know, when I started in this journey, my real estate business was really doing very well, as you know. I had 86 agents. We're doing 500-600 transactions per year. I was buying properties, selling them, and holding some, and making a pretty decent living. After getting involved, it changed, right? Changed tremendously. My focus became different. My ministry my mission became different. And I'm truly grateful. I'm so humbled that the good people of South Florida have supported me to where I can make a difference and to contribute in a positive way to building a better place for all of us.
So with that being said, any closing thoughts? And of course, please give out the election details. We know that this is a kind of an off-season election. A lot of people are not really paying attention. So if you can share the election details as well in your closing thoughts.
So there are 495, just under 800,000 people residing in the district. 495,000 are registered voters. Of those, 312,000 are Democrats, and those are the ones that I'm obviously concerned with at this point in time in this campaign. There were about 89,000 vote-by-mail ballots sent out. To date, 15,000 have come back in, so there's a lot of vote-by-mail ballots still sitting in the houses across the district. If you have one, fill it out and send it in now. You need to do it by no later than Tuesday of next week for it to get in on time to the supervisor of elections. At least a week prior to the election, you must mail a vote-by-mail ballot. Early voting will start this Saturday, and they'll go from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. There'll be early voting sites across Broward County and Palm Beach County. And then the final date of vote is on November 2nd. We used the primary elections August. This is different, it's special elections. So the final date of vote is November 2nd, and the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Don't go to an early voting site to vote on Monday, the 1st of November. They will be closed. On November 2nd, don't go to an early voting site. You must go to the site that is on your voter card to vote from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again, it's important that we vote. It's our voice. It's a way for us to influence what happens in our country and how our lives are affected. Voting is the most important thing I think citizenship affords us, and that is to vote to ensure your voice is heard. So please go out and vote, and certainly I beg of you to support their Holness for the U.S. Congress 20th District so that I may continue to bring us all together to work towards prosperity for all our people. Thank you so much, Annie.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Holness. I just want to make sure I put this out there to everyone that we have invited all candidates to participate on this platform. We will have a few more candidates join us next week. For those who were unable to join us, we did reach out, however, so I just want to make sure everyone knows that we are trying to make sure that you are informed voters, that you get the information, and that you make the decision on the candidate that you think will best represent Florida's Congressional District 20. So thank you.
Holnessforcongress.com. Holnessforcongress.com is my website where you may volunteer, donate, and learn more. Holness, the word F-O-R, holnessforcongress.com. Again, thank you.
Absolutely. We have it running. We have it running in our ticker at the bottom at Holness for Congress. So thank you so much, Commissioner Holness, and all the best to you on the election. And for those who are watching, please share this video. We're going to bring on our next special guest. We have Dr. Tameka Hobbs, as well as Miss Jasmen Rogers. Hello, ladies.
Hello, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. We're really excited here, getting ready for the conference kickoff.
Good. So so Dr. Hobbs, you're over the Florida Memorial University Social Justice Institute. Just briefly tell us about the Institute and your role there before we get into the conference.
Sure. We were founded last year as Florida Memorial University's response to what we've been calling the racial reckoning of 2020. And of course, as a historically Black university, the only one in South Florida, I was really glad to hear Commissioner Holness talking about the UNCF. We are a UNCF school. We knew that our response needed to be different than everyone else's. And it's been in my work here the last 9 years, my connection with Sabrina Fulton and the Trayvon Martin Foundation, contemplating her loss thinking about my research on lynching and racial violence here in the state of Florida, that I began to contemplate what we could do, what we could build, how we could leverage the resources of Florida Memorial University in service to this larger issue. And it's out of that thinking and with the blessing of our president, Dr. J.F.S. Hardrick, that the idea for the Social Justice Institute here at Florida Memorial University was born. Our intention is to become a solutions-focused think tank that is building on and really targeting issues of racial inequality and social injustice in our region. And ultimately, my goal is to have us act as a research institute. That's a goal we're going to have to build and stretch towards. But after this first year and a few months, I am greatly encouraged that we can marshal the resources and support to be able to move in that direction. So it's been incredibly exciting.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the work that you're doing at Florida Memorial University. And we have Ms. Jasmen Rogers with us. Welcome, Jasmen, who is the founder and principal visionary at Folding Chair Consulting, who has worked for several years at the intersection of racial and gender justice, advancing legislation that centers Black women, co-creating curriculum that makes the political process accessible, and building a base of women of color committed to reproductive justice. Wow.
Yes, and this year, for this semester and next semester, I'm also the advocate in residence of the Florida Memorial University Social Justice Institute. So I get to work alongside Dr. Hobbs on building out this conference and then also elevating the leadership of students on campus as it relates to social justice and civic engagement.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right in. Tell us about the upcoming conference and what it is that you're going to be doing, what's going to be what you're looking to accomplish, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the theme is building a different world, reimagining the future. And we are engaging students and community members in a symbiotic relationship where they can all learn from each other around civic engagement. Like Dr. Hobbs mentioned, building on the racial reckoning that happened last year, making sure our students are getting connected with really amazing mentors and elected officials while we have really tough conversations on the only HBCU in South Florida. So we start tomorrow with FMU alumni and other elected officials talking about college as a launch pad for leadership. And then we go into a conversation about LGBTQ allyship and support for LGBTQ students and people. And we finish out tomorrow with a conversation about the last year and what did we learn about power and systems of oppression and everything that's going on through COVID, right? And how that's transformed us all. And on Saturday, we have our keynote, Nsé Ufot from the New Georgia Project, Desmond Meade from Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, talking about building power and building power in the South and who we need to center in conversations about power, right? It can't be just white people. It can't be just men. Who are we centering in these conversations? And then we close out talking about anti-Blackness and Latinx communities and how we can work to build that different world and reimagine and vision for a different future where all of us can be a part.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty interesting lineup. So I see also that there's a launch of the Florida HBCU Ready, Set, Vote bus tour with Desmond Meade and the FRRC. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. We hosted Desmond Meade here on our campus and the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition a few weeks ago. They have a partnership with the Miami Dolphins and our construction trade program. But in talking with Desmond, he pointed out to me that when he maps the fines and fees of returning citizens, those people who've formerly had felonies and now are re-entering society, and he's been helping them, that's the purpose of his organization, that they track towards HBCUs. There were these pockets of these citizens at HBCUs. And so he was like, wouldn't it be great if there could be some partnership? I was already having conversations with the UNCF about support of the Social Justice Institute. And so I was able to bring Desmond in and we came up with this idea. And so the Ready, Set, Vote HBCU bus tour will kick off on Saturday here at Florida Memorial. We are using the session with Nsé and Desmond as our teach-in. Simultaneously, the bus the Free the Vote bus that FRRC sponsors will be located at our football game over at Traz-Powell Stadium. And what we're hoping to do is to replicate this at all the other HBCUs in the state, Bethune-Cookman in Daytona Beach, Edward Waters in Jacksonville, Florida A&M in Tallahassee, and the Florida A&M Law School in Orlando. But we want to have what I'm describing now as a conversation between those returning citizens and our emerging citizens that are college students, to really help them to understand the importance of their vote, to really crystallize that for them, to mobilize them. The other thing that I find is a frequent complaint when we talk about our political culture in the African community, the Black community, is that we wait until election cycles and seasons to try to rally and push people out. This is a conversation we need to be having all the time. We need to deepen the conversations we're having. We need to help these students understand what's at stake for them. We need to help groom our future change agents and elected officials. And so all of these things together, both the conference and the Ready, Set, Vote bus tour, are designed to do that. So I'm tremendously excited and really grateful for the partnership of Jasmen. And I should also shout out Black Youth Vote. They are one of the partners that have established relationships on many of these HBCU campuses and are going to be training our campus ambassadors and driving them. There's money on the table. Like the campus that has the highest percentage of students who register to vote or pledge to vote will get $1,000 prize. And I'm putting the pressure on because I want Florida Memorial to bring home that check. So it's really exciting for us.
That's really interesting. And I'm glad you made mention that, it's not just getting people ready to vote during the election cycle, but I really want to point out to people that there's an election cycle all the time. Because as soon as we finish one election cycle, whether it's for the presidential election, then we're all going into our midterm, which is super important for our state. And 2022 is right around the corner. So we're definitely, gearing up for a very interesting election with our gubernatorial race, as well as, congressional seats that are going to be coming up again. And I believe the Senate, the state of Florida as well. So I love that you're doing that. I love that you're educating year round, 365. That's so important because election cycles are technically 365 when you think about all your municipal, county, state, and federal elections that come and go in between. So great work. Any other information? How does one get involved? Is it too late? Can the public get involved? I know it's tomorrow and this weekend. How can one get involved?
Well, we've set it up. We're trying to be sensitive to what we're experiencing still with the pandemic. So this conference is being presented in a hybrid format. We have limited capacity in our Lou Rawls Center for the Performing Arts. Space is filling up. So I do encourage people, if you're interested and in attending in person, that you visit our link, Different World 2021. .eventbrite.com so you can register. Also with the registration, if you should choose to, you will receive information on how you can watch the live stream of those conference sessions. That'll be available through our Facebook page for the Social Justice Institute, as well as the YouTube channel for Florida Memorial University. And so whether you want to come in person or watch online, these sessions will be available to you. One other important conversation I'd like to mention that's taking place tomorrow as well is a conversation about racial equity in philanthropy. We are very glad to be in partnership with the Miami Foundation, as well as the South Florida Racial Justice Table. And we're putting on a session called Funding the Future, Creating Racial Equity in South Florida Philanthropy. We're really excited to have Tanisha McHarris with Black Harvest. She's done some amazing work with the Ford Foundation and negotiating with them a huge investment for Black women-led efforts led by Black women. And so we're going to hear from her, as well as Carrie Ann Royce with the YWCA South Florida. Our very own Dr. Jeffers Hardrick will be one of the panelists, and all of this will be facilitated by Sharice Grant with the Miami Foundation. And so that's going to be a very important conversation that will include philanthropic organizations, corporate agencies, as well as people who are on the ground doing the work to really just have a conversation about this landscape and what we can do to move things forward. It's one thing to dream about building this future that we're talking about, but it's going to take money and investment in order to create the equity and the energy to move things forward.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds very exciting. Now, Jasmen, are you going to be speaking as well?
I am helping to coordinate the conference, and I will also be co-facilitating one of the panels tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, here's a comment I just want to share.
Oh, Makiba.
Hi, Makiba. Thank you so much. Makiba's a great partner with us. One of the other initiatives that we have with the Institute is our South Florida Social Justice Common Read. We'll be celebrating our 1-year anniversary this December, and we'll be uplifting none other than Desmond Meade, our own MacArthur Genius Award-winning author, and his book, Let My People Vote. And so we'll be sharing more information about that and looking forward to that. But I want to thank Makiba and the African American Research Library and Cultural Center, as well as Ronnie Bennett and the South Florida People of Color for their support of that program. We've been at it for a year now. It's very excited to see that program come along.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for keeping us informed. We love everything that's happening, and we here at MIA Media Group and Legacy support Florida Memorial University tremendously. So, are there any closing thoughts or anything else that our audience should know about tomorrow or this weekend, or what the plans are post conference?
I would just say, again, open invitation for folks to come and be here with us. I want to thank MIA Legacy for your continued support, as you pointed out, of the university. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Southern Power Fund, FRRC, Miami Foundation, way too many to list. We'll be shouting you out in media and on tomorrow and Saturday, but we would not have been possible to make this available at no charge. We are asking for donations for the conference. But there is no fee for people to attend. I should have mentioned that earlier. Beyond that, I just hope that people will continue to tune in and watch and support, even donate to the vision of the Social Justice Institute at Florida Memorial University. It is a beautiful vision. I have been inspired by the work and the conversations. There's so much potential here. There's so many people who want to partner. We're just working on our capacity to be able to move that forward. And I'd like to publicly thank Valencia Gunder, who was our very first advocate in residence, and she provided some tremendous fuel and energy and connection to get us off the ground. And I also want to publicly acknowledge Jasmen. Jasmen has been absolutely amazing in the conference planning. Things are just really beautiful, and it wouldn't have been so without her. And she's having tremendous impact with our students. I get to see her in action. She's going to classes, she's coaching, helping student leaders to develop, and it's just wonderful to see all this come to fruition. So I'll conclude. Jasmen, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add.
Yeah, I'm following the leadership of Dr. Hobbs. So this has been an amazing, amazing, amazing vision. And to see that come together with the students and to see their heart for not only leaning into her leadership, but for this conference, these conversations, it's been incredible to follow your leadership. So I'm excited for what we'll get to do post this conference on campus. And that hopefully we're building a bridge from more community folks to be more involved at Florida Memorial.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, ladies. For those who are listening, the information is at the bottom of our stream here, where you can learn more at differentworld2021.eventbrite.com. Make sure you check out the conference, but also check out Florida Memorial Social Justice Institute and connect with Dr. Hobbs, connect with Jasmen Rogers on all the great work that they're doing. And we're just going to do a couple of announcements. So ladies, if you'll just stay with me for a moment, we'd like to thank our sponsors again, Broward Health, AARP, the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County, as well as Dimson and Dover Accident Attorneys, and the Black African American Black Alzheimer's Disease Initiative at the John P. Huntsman Institute for Human Genomics, University of Miami Miller School of Medicine. This weekend, please make sure you pick up your copy of our special election issue for Legacy Magazine and the Sun Sentinel. We will be featuring the candidates who did respond to our request to share information about their candidacy and why they are the best candidate to be elected for Florida's congressional seat District 20. So please make sure you check out that issue. It will also be available online, and you can visit miamediagrp.com to get access to that, as well as other information. And as always, please go to miamediagroup.com and check out all of our other shows where you can learn about what's happening in South Florida culturally. Get your financial education on with our money show, learn about Black-owned businesses, learn about Black-owned restaurants. We have something for everyone every day of the week. So please make sure you go and get our listing for all of our shows, and you can tune in each day and listen to our various hosts. And lastly, of course, as always, please make sure that you save the date every Thursday and share this video, because there's so much information it's packed with that we can educate our community with. So thank you again, ladies, for joining us. Shout out again to Commissioner Holness for joining us earlier. And again, have a great afternoon, and we'll see you next Thursday at noon.